Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. I hope you've all got some energy left after an exciting week of racing in London last week at the Aquatic GB Swimming Championships. This week, me and Dan are going to be reviewing those championships and talking through the Aquatics GB team that is heading to the World Championships in Singapore this summer. Released literally a few hours before we started recording. But before we get into this week's episode, I want to remind you guys that the Propulsion Swimming Podcast is brought to you in partnership with One Float Aquatics in Summer Bay, the newest destination for your warm weather training camp on the Red Sea in Egypt. And you can book your next training camp now by following the link in the show notes of this podcast. Okay, Dan, let's get straight into things on this week's episode and let's talk our experience at Champs, because a lot went on, a lot in the water, a lot out of the water. There was some very, very long days for us. I think we were like 7 in the morning till 12 at night for 6 days in a row. It is our busiest week of the year. It's probably, honestly, our most unprofitable week of the year.
That's not wrong. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Everyone knows how expensive hotels in London are, and we don't get paid to be there. We are doing that free of charge. We're creating content as we want. But it's nevertheless a really rewarding week because we get to speak to all the swimmers, we get to hear all their journeys, we get to mingle in the mix zone, which is a very privileged place to be honest with you. At the end of races, to hear conversations and to have conversations and to be trusted to film them with swimmers is something we are always we don't take that for granted at all.
No, we're very lucky that this summer's actually they open up to us quite a lot, more so than I think normal. I think I
would never know.
A bit of trust there. I'm not quite sure, but it is good to get their real thoughts. I know there's quite a few interviews down the line, and we are usually sort of in the middle or towards the end, and their mouths are getting dry from not drinking for, well, we put a video up for 8 minutes or so. That's quite a long time between the race, actually doing the interviews on poolside, plus getting the medal ceremony and all the rest of it. So there's quite a lot of waiting time for them, and they're very patient, I think, which because a lot of the questions are quite similar, really, maybe slightly worded differently. But we don't take it for granted at all. We very much appreciate it, and we're privileged, I think. That's probably the right word to say.
Absolutely. So if you want to actually go check out any of the interviews that we had during British Champs, I kind of would guide you guys over to the Propulsion Swimming YouTube channel, where we've done like daily roundups from the mix zone. We didn't do a highlights video this year because Aquatic GB were putting up their own one, and frankly we didn't have the time in the day. By the time you're finished actually recording on poolside, getting back to the hotel, having food, it's like 10 o'clock at night, and we just want to get something up that evening. And actually the thoughts of swimmers are more valuable than the thoughts of us. That being said, this week we will go through the thoughts of us. But also, before we get to that, I do want to give a shout out to, we met so many people in London. It's the chance where we get out away from a computer screen and we speak to people who listen to this podcast every week, and we can't thank you enough. We got a shout out to give to Liam, who we met on the final day as we were running out the door, wanted a photo with us after he got one with Ollie Morgan. That will baffle me forever that people want to have photos with us, but we really appreciate it. And like everyone who listens, who has a conversation with us on poolside, again, like we're in a privileged position, but you're having passionate conversations with us about swimming because we are passionate about swimming in this country as well. And we could talk all day. Like we talked a lot actually in London.
I very much hope swimmers like Liam, the young generation or the next generation behind the young guys coming through, like Jacob Mills, for example, which we'll get to. I hope they really enjoyed the meet because there were some really good swims. Arguably, the tension or the atmosphere wasn't quite the same as last year because the
but that's expected. Like it was better than a Ponds Forge meet. I'll give it that
for sure. Yeah. I mean, the last day of the 200 free obviously lived up to everyone's expectations, which again we'll get to. But hopefully someone like Liam and all those younger swimmers looked up to these swimmers and took something away from it because it was good. There were some very good swims.
Yeah, we were standing around on poolside at the end of the meet on that Sunday night, and it's like 9:30 at night. The 2 frees just happened. And the fans were still sticking around. Like, that's not normal for a swim meet in this country. There were people hanging over the balcony trying to get signed things, everything. It was actually happening that whole Sunday.
I mean, hopefully that will happen. That will happen every day for a meet like that. I know the 200 free is the showcase event.
See, I've got a problem with that. I want to get into that.
Go on.
Yes, it was amazing, and It is the staple of British swimming. But maybe we need to lean away from that a little bit, because you're coming away from this meet and you're going, was that 2-3 seriously better than Ollie Morgan's 100 back?
Time, I suppose. I don't know. Time wise, I mean, a 1:45.0 is the best.
Oh
in
no,
the world
yeah,
right
but it's
now.
good.
So,
but Ollie Morgan's 52.1. Holy moly, that could medal in the summer.
Yeah.
And when was the last time that happened? Like, we built up that third day because we knew that 100 back. We've spoken to Ollie quite a lot this year.
Yeah.
And we knew something special was coming, whether it was Ollie, whether it's Johnny Marshall.
Yeah.
I think maybe the atmosphere was there on that Sunday. I'd like to see it spread out throughout the rest of the meet and stop. We can hype that as the staple of the meet, but I kind of wish the hype train was throughout the whole meet more so.
Yeah, I think of the 6 days, there were 2 real standout days, and that was the Ollie Morgan backstroke day, and then the 200 at the end. But they need to make it as big as possible on every day. I think.
Whether it's scheduling wise, like there were some dud days. Like
there were. That's admittedly.
I think the
second
day was the
amazing,
hardest,
which we'll get there. But hopefully it will get to a point where we'll have. I think the problem is obviously you have your Duncan Scott, Jimmy Guy, Matt Richards. They're your big Olympic gold winners. So they're your standout names. Your sort of. They're your sort of icons, I guess. So I suppose Ollie Morgan is not.
I think he's growing to that.
Yeah, Ollie Morgan's not similar sort of age to Matt, just a little bit younger, but he's starting to work his way up. He maybe just needs this World Championships to come up and then be on the podium, or even potentially even win it. That's how good that time really was. And then suddenly he's a superstar like those guys are. Maybe that's what's missing. Same with Angharad, for example.
I was going to say maybe next year you look at it and you go, you know what, Angharad is special. She is truly special in the 100 breaststroke to a level that we've not seen in this country. Let's move her away from the 200 free day and stick her on her own day. And suddenly you're selling tickets to come see Angharad. Suddenly you're selling tickets to come see Ollie Morgan. Like, on the final day, Ollie Morgan and Angharad are swimming on that day, and they get swallowed up by the 200 meters freestyle.
Yes,
they really do.
True. Yeah, even the hype that Aquatic GB were doing, which was amazing for the 200 free. If they're able to do it on every race,
There's a lot of work that goes into that.
Of course it is. Yes, of course. But that would be the dream, obviously, to try and build up that way. And then suddenly, when people come onto poolside, they know what they're kind of expecting, who to look out for, what time that they could potentially go. Because when British records on, like Matt on the comms for poolside comms, when he was sort of saying these guys are under British record, then suddenly the atmosphere grew and the tension almost rose. Maybe that's what's needed, but. I don't think we want to gripe too much, because actually that sounds very negative. But it was a more very good meet, but it just needs to be spread out across the whole week rather than just the last day or the third.
I don't want the recency bias of that incredible final day to kind of take away from some points me and you thought during the week that, you know what, I have had this. But all in all, for a post-Olympic year,
solid, I thought.
Beyond solid. I know. We'll get to the team that they're taking this summer. I know people hitting considerations times. It felt a little bit slower than an Olympic year, like in terms of when they started hitting them through the week. But actually, like speaking around and speaking to all coaches and everything like that, everyone's in a really good spot. Like everyone is exactly where people thought they would be and beyond. Yeah,
and we can't say too much, but the plan is on track in terms of everything right now. So I think
that was well redacted.
Yeah, we've got something to look forward to, I think, with our big guns, our icons, as well as the younger guys coming through. Yes. So it's exciting for British swimming right now.
Okay, let's talk about the standouts from this meet then, because there were, for me, 3 head and shoulders above everyone else, and we'll get to others.
Yep.
Like we'll speak your Duncan Scott, your Matt Richards, who were already qualified and were playing about at this meet and playing about to great success in some aspects.
Especially Matt. Yeah, we'll get there. But,
but for me, the 3 standouts were Faye Rogers, Ollie Morgan, and Angharad Evans. Now, Faye Rogers, just the story. At this meet, she is starting to get incredibly close to her able-bodied times before she had her accident.
Mental.
There's a record board now at the London Aquatic Centre for records hit by Aquatics GB swimmers. She had 5
in the London pool.
The London pool, and she had 5 in a row at one point from this meet alone. She's smashing it. There's no I don't know how to describe what she's doing in the swimming pool other than holy cow.
Just amazing. Like, she's an S10 swimmer and she's competing or almost keeping up with
Well,
S14
she was making B finals.
Yeah, that's how good she is. I mean, she was breaking British records, European records, and there were, I think, a grand total of 2, maybe 3 world records that she hit as well.
Yeah, she hit 2 world records on the first day,
in the
and
same
that
day.
was in the B final. She wasn't in the para final because that's not a para race she can qualify for.
That was probably a standout race, the 200 fly.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, she is very good. And the story of she had a car crash, and that's the reason why she's in the para classification, and the fact that she's nearly going the same times as what she was before that car crash. I mean, that's a story and a half.
Yeah.
Really, honestly. 7 records in total, if I remember correctly, and blew the doors off.
Yeah.
Like, up there,
Yeah.
definitely top 3. Arguably, you could probably say top 1, if I'm honest. Really, really strong showing from her. And again, very excited to see what she does in Singapore.
Well, talking of blowing the doors off, Ollie Morgan then. So leading into this meet, he was like I think we talked about it in the preview show. His build up into this meet. So if you look at how he progresses through the season, you can kind of track his Bucks time, you can track his Edinburgh International time leading into champs. So this year at Edinburgh International, he was 0.6 faster than he was last year. And last year he set the British record at champs. Well, he did it again and knocked 0.6 off his time. For statisticians, it's just incredible. You could predict it. It's so nice to see the consistency of his drops in time. And like we've always said, he's still just tapping the surface. It sounds very much like he's staying at Birmingham beyond his degree.
I think it's such a good move to do that. Yeah.
Clearly it's working. Absolutely working. And for a British backstroker to go a 52-1. I had so many conversations around poolside during... just before that final session talked, and I was just like, well, the British record's going, but how low? And I thought 52-4, and that would have been outstanding, around that mark. And then I think I spoke to Elliot Clogg when he was on the AP stand-up in the fan zone, and he was just like, yeah, but what if Ollie goes a 52-1? What if?
It's almost like
how would you feel? And I was just like, you know what? The hairs on the back of my neck would stand up. And we filmed it poolside, and if you watch the video on our Instagram, I'm actually verbally saying, "Oh my god, what's happening?"
I was like that for the 200 free. Like, what? They've tied? Oh my god!
Yeah.
And then selection problems. All that went through my head. But Ollie has definitely been in the gym. He has definitely bulked up.
Yeah.
He's almost a different stature, almost compared to what he was last year, and that maybe has been the difference. The 200 back was obviously a good PB as well, and he took it out like a maniac and tested that. I think last 50 he said was in real pain, but done the treble.
He liked it. He said he liked it.
Yeah, well, he's a nutcase, if I'm honest. I was speaking to Gary at the end before we left, when we had the picture of Liam, and he was very much like, yeah, I really enjoyed that. And Gary's like, we're gonna maybe do that again. Like, I don't know if that's the right thing, but I think that's
the right thing.
You put yourself in with a shout, don't you? If you're in the front by a body length, let's say, and if you can hold on for that final 50, then who knows what can happen. But 155.5 on that backstroke is good, but then a 52.1, I mean, that's like I'm sort of saying to him and his dad, like, you're on the podium suddenly in the international sort of range. Like, those guys are, if you're doing really well, you're going sub 52. And I can't remember what won the 100 back in the Olympics now, but I don't think
I think Ollie would have medalled.
Yeah, exactly. So if he's able to do it again in Singapore, then you're looking at a world's medal there. And I was in the same boat as you, 52.4, 52.5, and I would have been like...
Because he always does progress it at the summer meets. Like, doesn't slow down.
Yeah, he was good in Paris.
Really good in Paris.
Our first Olympics is always usually a bit of a hoodoo for people. Now that's out of the way. The Worlds is coming up. Singapore's a fast pool. Can we see a sub 52? You said that the finish wasn't perfect.
I don't think it was as bad as some commentary made out. I think it was all right.
I think it was all right. It could be better. But it wasn't as bad as like a really long glide, missed the wall or whatever else. So it was fine. But yeah, very exciting stuff. What else is there to say about him? He's doing amazing things right now.
Well, he's never been one to lack for confidence. Like when we've spoken to him, he's never been one to lack for confidence. But I think the way he swam the 200 backstroke really does show that he's now... Like, even in that event, it wasn't a case of, you know what, I'm going to sit on Luke's shoulder and I'm going to chase him down in the last 50. It was, I'm the big dog here. Come get me.
I'm going.
And I really like that shift in attitude. It's a different mental state to be in, especially like domestically. He is now the one to come beat. And like,
well, he's
not afraid of that.
He did enjoy the fact that Luke was catching him up on the final 50. Maybe that spurred him on. Maybe that's where the enjoyment came in. Because I imagine, because I've done it once.
He did say it was quite scary,
going out quite hard, and it burns so badly to the point where he was having his medal presentation and he actually had to sit down. Kind of like what Matt did as well. But he's just blowing terribly. Yeah. But for sure, top 3 summer British records, and who knows what he can do in the summer.
Let's talk Angharad then, the third one. The 100 metres breaststroke British record. We saw that one go in. Again, leading into this meet, it was a case of controlling the nerves, and I think every time Angharad races, the better she gets at that. Yeah. So she goes a 105.37. She also hits a Scottish record in the 200 metres breaststroke to kick off her meet, which got rid of the nerves for her. We spoke to her poolside, and that was almost a catalyst for the British record in the 100 in both aspects. Like her improvements in the 2 have helped her back end speed in the 100, but also getting selected for Singapore, hitting the consideration time early on in the week, made that day 6 where it hit her last year. It was all or nothing, final day of the meet. That wasn't on the cards. She could go out there and swim free. And I still don't think it was the perfect race. She's still got seconds to drop. Like we spoke to her.
Homo.
She's still got time to drop. Like we spoke to her after the race, and she goes 64s, please. 64s. That's what
my face was instantly like 64. Oh.
I know, but at the same time, she's not far off. And the drops that she's consistently making, like if that 2 keeps on improving as it's improving,
I mean, jeez.
And again, it's not even a bit like Ollie. There is more of an open door for her at an international level than Ollie in the 100 back. In the 100 breaststroke, it is going through a transition phase. There is no two ways about it.
Lily King's retired. Tatiana Smith's retired. Who else? Ruta is kind of, I don't know what's going on with her at the moment. So there's a bit of a door that's open, or very much open. It's quite wide open, actually. It's like a barn door right now where she could literally step in and become a champion.
Well, let's not say champion. Let's not crown her already, because there's still like Mona McSherry who won.
The chance, the opportunity is very much there for Angharad.
She's now a very strong medal chance in the summer.
Yes, I think so. And bodes well for the medley relay as well, I suppose. We've got that women's team is getting stronger and stronger. But it's just the drops. I mean, she was our most improved swimmer last year on our awards. And it's very difficult to sort of bet against her right now because she's still doing these insane drops.
Yeah.
I know she might be right. Like a 64 in the summer for 100 breaststroke, even though it's a 0.4 drop, seems achievable. We were talking about the British record in 200, even though she was 2 seconds off. Like, it just seems achievable right now for her. So,
and she's a bit like Ollie. It's kind of the same conversations I've just had with Ollie. She's a year on from her breakout year. She's a different person on the poolside. She's relishing in all the attention.
Yeah.
At least she's looking like she's relishing in all the attention.
The confidence levels are so high. I mean, it does wonders for an athlete. It's almost not arrogant, but the confidence is so like, this is my arena, I am the top dog kind of thing. And she's embracing it as she should, as well as Ollie and Faye as well.
Okay, other standout swims then before we get into the world's teams. So I think Abby Wood in the 200 meter individual medleys to be hitting a PB in that in April.
Good PBs.
Don't think that's going to go under the radar like it always does with an Abby swim for some reason. But I think that was outstanding.
Yeah.
Katie Shanahan with the backstroke double. Kiana McInnes with the fly double. Ed Mildred finally breaking out, which I know Dan was absolutely ecstatic about on poolside because he's been trying to predict that one for a long time.
Yeah.
Eva backing up her performances last summer to make the team in the 50, and Freya Colbert targeting the 2-3 over the 4 IM. A little bit of a talking point, but
just
when
not
you
far
go
off the British record, that's going to go under the radar, if I'm honest.
Yeah, when you go 155.7, maybe you should be targeting that race.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, again bodes well for the 4x2 women's relay as well.
Yeah,
so there were some very strong swims. We'll get to the 200 free in a second, but let's talk very quickly about the para guys, because it wasn't just the the world records that Faye Rogers hit. It's Will Ellard also hit an equal world record, or his own world record in 100 free. That was a brilliant. That was in the heats, I believe, as well. So it was a morning swim. Didn't quite back it up in the final later on. European record from Mark Thompson in 100 backstroke, and Ina Winifred, British record in 200 IM. So the para guys, as we always say, they're good. I mean, they are our almost standout swimmers, if you like, in terms of medals and records and stuff like that when it comes to the international stage.
The more they're on show at this meet, the more integrated they feel to Aquatic GB. Like every time they swim, I'm getting a bit familiar with their names, with their times, with their swims. I think everyone else hopefully is as well.
I think it's maybe getting to a stage where you see the name and you instantly go, Will Ellard. Oh, that's 14. Yeah, I know how well he is. He's a strong freestyler. Faye's the same as 10. She's a strong fly swimmer, as well as I am, as well as all the strokes, really. Iona's really good at breaststroke, and I am. So hopefully it gets to that sort of stage where we can actually identify these swimmers like, oh, yeah, I know you. And that's the first stepping stone, I think. And then once you're invested, then you're following them and becoming fans.
Now, one swimmer who is definitely going to be making a name for himself and getting recognised a little bit more on poolside is Jacob Mills.
Yes.
To come away from that meet with a 48.0 in the 100 metres freestyle at 17 years old, a 21.9 in the 50 freestyle. I'm not sure which of the two is going to be his event. It can be both, absolutely.
Right now, just go with both, I say.
Yeah, absolutely. A silver in 100 metres freestyle. That was a bit of a surprise leading into the meet. Following his morning swim, no, it was not.
Well, that was the biggest question, because he hit both those times in the heat. And you think, well, if you can back that up, then you're talking solid, amazing swimmer and worthy of going on to the international team, or the British team. And he backed up basically the same time, both heats and finals.
Yep.
So he did everything he could. And I think they said on poolside that his 21.9
equals
whatever
Foster.
it was it equal or even quicker than Mark Foster's ever been?
I think it's equal to
I mean,
Mark
that's
Foster.
honestly amazing, because Mark Foster is arguably, behind Ben probably, our best sprinter ever on the men's side. So, and he's gone faster than him.
I know.
At the age of 17. So, yeah, he is one to look out for. And again, we have spoken a lot about getting the experience on the international stage. He's not only going for a relay, he's going to go, I imagine.
Yeah, he's got the individual.
He has, hasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
for the 100.
Massive experience. And again, the confidence he has at the moment.
He didn't lack it.
Almost swaggering at the
love
moment. Just awesome. It is awesome, playing to the camera, waving to the fans, all the rest of it, and hyping them up. That's exactly what you need. You need characters, and he seems to have it right now.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more of him, on Aquatic GB poolsides, on World poolsides, and hopefully on Propulsion poolsides.
Yeah.
And then kind of rounding it out, Ben Proud going a 21.67 in the 50 metres freestyle when he's in season, completely unrested.
Unshaven,
Unshaven, like seriously good. And talking of seriously good, Duncan Scott, who in an interview that we had with him after the race didn't actually know if he was going to come to this meet because of pre-selection, because he took an extended break off the back of the World Cup series, which he was fully entitled to do. He's only really been training, I think it was something like 3 months. 3 months he's had in the water, of which like 1 month was training, 1 month was racing, and 1 month was kind of tapering down for this.
Yeah.
So for him to get a Scottish record in the 200 metres fly, to go a 150, 155, 156 in the 200 metres individual medley, and to tie for gold with Jimmy Guy in the 2 freestyle, I would say is an outstanding return. Like, it almost doesn't get better than that, like, based off the prep he's had going in.
Well, speaking to Charlie Harris at Scottish Swimming, he's been after that 200 fly Scottish record for a while.
He always races at commies.
Yeah, Cameron Brodie, who we used to race against.
We did used to race down at Kelly.
Got that record, or used to have that record before Duncan got it. And that was a bit of a joke between them on the interview that we had as well. But, he's just... Is he the most versatile swimmer in the world?
Supremely talented swimmer.
Unbelievably good.
He's not racing. By the way, he hit the consideration time in the 2 fly, but he's not racing that.
No, I mean, his face said it all when Charlie was asking questions. So you've got the consideration time for the 200
It was like the biggest smile I've ever seen on Duncan's face.
Got to be joking, haven't you? But yeah, the 2 IM was great, and then the 2 free was, it's more of a spectacle. The time was great, obviously, like 1, 2, 3 best in the world. But the fact that he's tied with Jimmy, I suppose we probably talk about Jimmy as well, because his 400 was pretty solid, and then that 200 free still can't get under that 145 barrier.
I know.
But I don't know what happens with selection, which I'm sure we'll get to now.
Well, yeah, let's have a quick ad break, and then we'll get to our thoughts on the tie for the 2 free and the selected team that are heading to Singapore. This week's episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast is brought to you in partnership with One Flow Aquatics in Summer Bay, Egypt, the newest destination for elite and club training camps. And when I say new, the new hotel purposely built for this sports complex has now opened out in Summer Bay. Me and Dan got to check it out while it's being built, where we saw some finished rooms, which, by the way, are better than any rooms me and Dan have ever stayed in.
Correct.
On any training camp on our lives.
Yes.
This is like a full-blown apartment that you get. You can get, I think it was like a twin room, a double room. You can get a single, maybe, if you're going with the very, very elite squads. Or you could get 3 or 4 in there.
I think you can have bunk beds, I think, as well.
Yeah,
So
I think that's an option as well to
Yep.
make it a bit more affordable for clubs out there.
Yep.
But yes, it's an apartment. That is not a hotel room.
No,
it is
I think
nice.
Yeah, like for example, if there's a fridge in there, for example, which I can tell
It's a
you now,
small luxury,
for
but
every well, if you've got new snacks and just put it in the fridge, for example, it's amazing. But we never had that when we were on training camps. God, we were lucky to get a bed, I think. So
it's just a bed.
yeah,
and a
this
toilet,
hotel
yeah.
is amazing.
You've got another pool outside the hotel room, which you can use.
Yep.
There's a dryland training area at that hotel as well if you don't want to go to the pool.
Well, you can literally throw a stone, and then you're in the kitchen area where you can have your food as well.
There's kitchen, there's breakout spaces if you want to have any meetings, if you want to get any uni work done. There's all of that facilities for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Dan will be back out there soon. I'm very certain on that, so we can capture some more content from that venue. If you guys have any questions, just drop us a message and we can go find it out for you. We can go show it to you. And if you want to go and book your next training camp to Summer Bay One Flow Aquatics Training Centre, you can do so with renowned sports booking agents Sports Abroad using the link in the description of this podcast. And if, like I said, if you've got any questions, message us on social media and we can discuss our own personal experiences of Summer Bay or hook you up with anyone you need to know, like out there. We can sort that all out for you. Okay, Dan, let's get back to the 200 freestyle joint gold. So we know there's one spot on the line because of pre-selection and Matt winning an Olympic medal in the 200 meters freestyle. And I'm going to take a hazard as a guess that neither Jimmy or Duncan are going to want to concede ground on giving that spot. Like sometimes you see it, for example, I think it was the Olympic Games. Matt had the 50 qualified time for the Olympics. He didn't want to swim it in his program and the spot went to Alex Cahoon.
Yep.
I don't think that's going to happen for the 2 free.
No.
So what solutions do we have? Do we have rock, paper, scissors? Do we have flip a coin? Do we have Aquatic GB content, guys, if you're watching this? Do we send them around a golf course and video that and create some amazing golf content and the winner gets the spot? Do we have a swim off at the AP International in a month's time when they're probably both in season, so probably not?
That's the problem. Yeah.
Who actually gets entered into that event? We don't know. And I'm not sure we will know for a little while because while they've released the team that are going to Singapore, we don't know the events that they're entered in. We can take a guess.
I thought you were going to throw me under the bus and say, so who do you think they're going to take and pick?
No, that's
like,
entirely unfair because
I've no idea.
I think both of them should swim.
Well, the problem is the time that they're swimming now, fast forward to the summer, they're hopefully going to go sub 145, which is probably good enough for a medal for both of them. So, and of course, you can only enter 2 because Matt could very easily win a medal as well.
Well, he's already entered. So,
yeah, exactly. So, in terms of medal prospects, they're all as strong as each other, roughly.
Yeah.
So, it's an impossible decision, and I don't know how
they'll have.
I
think they'll have a behind doors swim off at some point.
Do you reckon? I mean, I reckon
It'll be a little bit like having to make a decision for a relay team who gets the chance to swim it. Like, for example, the Olympic Games last summer, the 100 fly spot, yes, Joe Litchfield had qualified in that, but I'm pretty sure there were swims going on behind the scenes with Duncan Scott, who got that spot in the final, having not actually shown anything leading into the Olympic Games that he was swimming 100 fly. I think there will be stuff like that happening behind the scenes so that people know what place both of those swimmers are and who gives the best chance to get a medal.
There has to be something behind
But
the scenes happening.
it's higher power than propulsion swimming.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm not answering that question.
So lucky we don't have to decide that. Jeez. Yeah, it's a good thing, I suppose, because we've got such strong swimmers in this event. I mean, we're not even talking about Tom Dean. He didn't race it, obviously, but he could have easily tied for it as well. If there's a three-way tie, what on earth would you do then?
I mean, Matt wasn't far off.
I know, exactly. So, yeah, it's a good headache, but a really big migraine.
I'm not sure it's a good headache.
It's I don't know what you do for selectors. Luckily, we don't have to think about it too hard because we don't have to make that decision. But it's not an easy one, and you can't pick one over the other just because Duncan's racing the 2IM. That means Jimmy, you can just do the 200 free. It's not going to work that way. So
do you swim them off at Seti Collie? Do you? I don't know.
I don't know. It's gonna have to be towards Worlds. I would have thought when they're up there, sort of peakish.
Yeah,
so
I don't think
you can't do anything in the lead up to it. 'Cause they're going to train differently. Duncan's going to be training some IM as well as Jimmy, just focusing on the freestyle. I don't know. No idea. Tough one. Really tough. Exciting, I guess, but really tough.
If you're being like marketing head on here, you can create a whole new event around it.
Yeah, well, you could.
You could sell tickets. You could big it up. You could put it on a YouTube channel. I'd watch that. I'd probably pay to go see that. I'd love the build up of that.
Yeah.
It's probably
the pressure might even be even more than going to the
Oh
Olympics.
no, it will be. But I don't know. It will be a behind closed doors situation, which will fix it. That we probably won't find out until the entry list is released for Singapore, which is really close to the event. It's like the week before.
Months away. So, but you're right. I don't think one of them is going to concede ground because they'll both want to race it because they both have a chance of medaling.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what comes of it.
Okay then. So let's go through this team that are heading to Worlds. We knew that there were 6 pre-selected swimmers, of which only 5 are selected because Adam is not racing this summer. Yep. There were 8 swimmers who hit qualification times in a winning event. So your Freya Colbert, Angharad Evans, Max Litchfield, Kiana McInnes, Ollie Morgan, Eva Acaro, Katie Shanahan, and Abby Wood. They all knew before Champs was done that they were going. And then there were also 3 swimmers who hit qualification times and placed second. So Luke Greenbank, Holly McGill, and Jacob Mills. So, and those ones in reality, I think, because of the low consideration times that were hit, again, they knew they were safe.
Yeah,
and
pretty much. Yeah.
I'm very excited by all of those. You've got ones that go into the Worlds for the first time. Angharad Evans, would you believe, for the first time?
Yeah.
Holly McGill, 200 metres backstroke, was solid. She almost got Katie Shanahan. And Jacob Mills, we've already talked about. So in terms of those swimming individual events, I'm really excited for those names. Okay, so those are your cut and dry. Your easy decision. That wasn't even a discussion, I would have thought, when they had the selections meetings.
Well, no,
those 11 swimmers plus the 5 pre-qualified, done.
Yeah, well, it's quite simple, really. Hit the time, you're going. That's basically how that was. The next
Even if you came second.
Yeah, the next one's maybe a little bit more discretionary, I guess, apart from this next one, where the relays, of course.
I was going to say, the relays, these are swimmers who were part of hitting a relay consideration time. So there were relay times which were made up of combined swims. So Freya Anderson goes for the 4x1. Greg Butler goes... No. So Freya Anderson goes as part of the mixed 4x1, I believe, because the women's 4x1 didn't actually hit the consideration time.
Yeah.
Greg Butler goes part of the medley relay. Lucy Hope goes as part of the 4x2 women's team. Ed Mildred, medley relay. Leah Schlossen as part of the 4x2.
4x2, yeah.
And Jacob Whittle as part of the men's 4x1. So again, they all pretty much came out of Champs knowing they were going as well.
Yes, finishing top 4, and overall the top 4 times are underneath the relay time. So I think they were relatively confident they were going as well. Correct. Yeah.
So that is 22 swimmers coming straight off the back of Champs, filled a 30-person squad. From there, they could have said, done.
Yeah.
That's all that made it. They could have been really harsh. And I think you, Dan, were surprised by how many discretionary picks went or have been given, even though they haven't filled the squad of 30.
No, well, Singapore's a long way. It's going to be quite expensive. Hotels are going to be expensive. And of course, the more you take,
always are.
Exactly. And the more you take, the more expensive it's going to be. So I thought it was going to be, they weren't going to pick as many.
I think what you're trying to say is they could have picked a pragmatic squad, but actually it's a very positive squad because they're giving swims to the likes of Evan Jones. Max Morgan gets to go for, I say experience, but even though he didn't go sub-minute in the 100 meters breaststroke, I'm pretty sure the selectors saw what we saw, and you fixed your swim skills and you're under a minute for the 100 breaststroke. You fix your start, you fix your finish, you fix your turn, you're under a minute. And it's a confidence building exercise with him as well. All of these discretions, which we haven't even named yet, we'll go through the names in a second, but they're relay alternatives with other athletes that have maybe busy schedules, medal opportunities in the 50-meter events, of course, so someone like Lauren Cox, for example. And then medal opportunities when it comes to LA, I guess. That's the reason why Max Morgan's been selected, because they can see the potential that he has in 3 years' time. So the names are Lauren Cox, as you've already said, who I would say goes for the 50 back. She goes as a backup to Katie Shanahan in the 100 back for relays as well. Evan Jones, I'm going to hazard a guess and say is the alternative for the 200 meters, the 4x2 relay team, because he came 5th at trials and they usually take 6 for that based on the busy schedules of Duncan, Matt. Those are usually the 2 that get rested in the heats, especially with Dino's just racing relays at this meet. So to have a 6th swimmer is good, and usually
it's almost normal now.
What did Kieran Bird go? He went a sub 147 and got picked for the Olympic Games. So I'm pretty sure Evan Jones is around that mark as well. Yeah. Johnny Marshall is going as a backup for the 100 meters backstroke for Ollie Morgan. Again, you could throw him in an individual. I think it was a really tough off the back of NCAA's meet for him. I looked and spoke to a few of the Americans who were coming off it, and it was hard. It was really hard work. Jack McMillan is obviously a backup for the 4x2. He could also be used in the 4x1.
Potentially, yes.
Potentially. Max Morgan, as we've already said, is probably one of those trajectory for podium success in LA 2028, but could be a backup for the 4x1 medley.
Wouldn't surprise me if he does a heat swim and then Greg does the final.
They might stick him in the 50 breaststroke as well.
Yeah, I think that will happen. I think there's a lot of these guys, and then Emily Richards as well, who...
Well, I was going to get to that. Emily Richards, who's, to be honest with you, her 200 fly time is actually world class.
Yes. Yeah.
So I actually... she's not going there for a medley relay. She's not going there for the medley relay spot, but she can back up quite comfortably the 100 fly. She came 3rd behind Kiana, but also her 2 fly, like you look at the time that they've got to hit, and that she was close to it without getting under it, which I kind of think is her discretionary pick.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys, even though they are sort of relay alternatives, if you like, I think a lot of
they could all do individuals.
Yeah, I think they all will end up doing individuals, with Lauren doing the 50. Probably Evan and Jack will be the only ones to do relays, I'm going to guess.
Maybe Max. Depends Max. How much they want to put on his shoulders as a 17-year-old.
Well, that's 50 breaststroke. I generally think they might put him in for the 50 breaststroke. Johnny Marshall will do the 100 back. I don't think there's... I think that's... I'm quite confident saying that. Okay. I think Emily will probably do the 200 fly as well. So I think, as well as relay alternatives, these guys will do individuals as well, I think.
And there's your team heading off to Singapore. They only fill 28 of 30. So in an ideal world, who do we think has been slightly unlucky? Me personally, I think you could have taken another alternative for the 4x1 men's team. However, that 4x1 team is yet to punch the same weight as the 4x2, so I don't think it necessarily warrants another backup.
Yeah, it just didn't quite happen in Paris as well as we all kind of hoped. If it did, and we might really be taking strong and maybe medalled, then potentially yes. But now so let's say Alex Cahoon maybe could count himself unlucky,
or Alex Painter. I think Painter, either one of those again. I think because Cahoon had a really good heat swim.
Yeah.
I think they can count themselves slightly unlucky that maybe there isn't the past success that you're trying to build on top of for that one. I think that you're probably relying on maybe Jack McMillan doing a heat swim or Duncan coming into that relay. Any other like outstanding names who maybe were unlucky? I think.
Who else are you thinking?
I think maybe just unfortunate is Theodora Taylor being told at British Champs she's going because they got the times wrong on the day.
Yeah, but
and then she misses.
They didn't hit the time, so
yeah,
it's
I'm not saying that. I think it was an awkward situation.
Yeah, the way it happened on the day, taking photos, being on a podium, and actually being spoken to by Betty as well in the interview. Yeah, that's tough. And then suddenly turn around to say, "Yeah, you're not going." Yeah, tough, very tough. But again, she's only 15, 16, so she'll have.
I think some of the
later.
European juniors are going to be very we're not going to deep dive into it because it's not something we do here. But some of them are going to be really, really, really good. Like I think I was on TikTok the other night and saw what the potential boys medley relay team could be of like Dean Fern on the backstroke, Max Morgan on the breaststroke, Jack Brown from Plymouth, who by the way had an outstanding swim in the 100 meters
should
fly.
Spoke about him a few more times.
Outstanding swim. And then Jacob Mills on the freestyle, and I'm looking at that and just like, whoa, that is tasty. That is a very good team.
Well, I mean, that could end up being our senior team in, let's say,
it could even
LA,
be 4 years. Who knows? Who knows?
So, it's looking good right now, I must say. And the fact that coaches are saying it's all going to plan, that's music to our ears, I think. So,
yes.
We've got something to look forward to, definitely.
Okay, that kind of rounds up this week's episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. But I want to give you guys a chance to kind of have your say on our episodes for the coming weeks. Who out of this world selection team do you want us to speak to on this podcast? Let us know in the comments section on YouTube. Maybe it's a swimmer who didn't make the team who you'd like us to have a conversation with. We've certainly got a few lined up, but we're always interested to hear your guys' thoughts. But until next week's episode, make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. I know we say it at the end of every episode, but it really does help us if you are subscribed. So if you just get fed this by the algorithm every week on YouTube, please just make sure you are subscribed. It'd be really, really helpful. And me and Dan will be back in 7 days. Well, maybe a little bit less than 7 days because this is going up late for the team announcement. But 7 days time. Let's leave it at that.
Thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.
You've been listening to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast with Scott and Dan. We want to thank you for joining us and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as checking out the Propulsion Swimming YouTube channel for weekly tutorials and videos to get your swimming fix. We will be back next week. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one.